If you're a Porsche fan, and let's be honest, who isn't, you're probably already deep into the obsession that is Porsche's history, culture, and design. But just when you thought you knew everything about these iconic cars, here are 101 facts that might surprise you. Emphasis on might because we know you guys are thorough. 1. The shared horse legacy. Porsche and Ferrari share the same horse on their logos. Yes, the same one. Porsche's logo comes from the crest of their hometown, Stuttgart, Germany. Meanwhile, Ferrari's horse is a tribute to an Italian fighter pilot who shot down a German plane over Stuttgart during World War I. How's that for some shared history? 2. No grills allowed. Have you ever noticed that no Porsche has a grill? Before you start arguing, what you're looking at is an air vent, not a grill. Air vents are purely functional, while grills define the car's face. Since Porsche engines are located in the back, they don't need a grill, making it a signature part of their design. 3. Pronounce it right, please. Porsche is very particular about how you pronounce their name. They even released a video on how to say it correctly, Porsche. It's like they're talking to kids in the video, but let's be honest, it's mostly kids who argue about this stuff. 4. The birth of the 911. The legendary 911 was initially called the 901 when unveiled in 1963. But then Peugeot threatened to sue Porsche for copyright infringement because they had somehow copyrighted every 3-digit number with a 0 in the middle. Rather than fight it, Porsche turned the 0 into a 1, and the 911 was born. 5. Porsche meets iPhone. To show off the active air suspension on the Panamera hybrid, Porsche connected it to an iPhone's gyroscopic sensor. When developers handed the phone to journalists, they only had one note: don't flip the phone, we haven't tested that yet. Talk about living on the edge. 6. Logo placement perfection. Is the Porsche logo on your wheels? It always points down toward the valve stem. It's those little details that count. 7. Winning over 30,000 races. Porsche has won over 30,000 races across all motorsports. That's not just a track record, that's a legacy. 8. Reliability that lasts. Porsches are known for their reliability. 2/3 of all 911s made in the past 60 years are still on the road today or parked in a garage waiting for the perfect sunny day. 9. Dutch police patrol Porsches. From the 1960s to the 90s, the Dutch police used Porsches as patrol cars. 9. Because of their handling, reliability, and speed. They even argued that the rear-mounted air-cooled engines were perfect for pursuits in reverse. Yes, reverse. Yes, reverse. 10. Towing an Airbus. In 2017, a Porsche Cayenne S diesel set a world record by towing an Airbus A380 that weighed 285 tons. Who needs a tow truck when you have a Porsche? 11. The iconic Porsche logo's journey. The first Porsche logo appeared on the steering wheel 356 in 1952, but it took another 7 years to show up on hubcaps and 6 more years before it was featured on hoods. Patience, right? 12. Training wheels for Porsches. Driving a Porsche today is pretty easy thanks to modern assists. But back in the 60s, they were so tricky that Porsche had to weld cast iron blocks to their bumpers for extra weight and traction, kind of like training wheels, but less effective. 13. Naked 918s. Only 218 Porsche 918s left the factory without any paint at all. Why? To save 14 pounds of weight. Every pound counts when it comes to performance. 14. The best-selling Porsche. The Macan is currently Porsche's best-selling model. Not what you expected, huh? 15. Defying gravity. The Porsche 956C had so much downforce at 200 mph that it could be driven upside down. Porsche even hung it upside down at their museum to prove the point. 16. Headlights gone in seconds. Porsche headlights have a theft problem, especially on the Panamera and Cayenne. A design flaw allows thieves to remove them in seconds. Sometimes making life easy for mechanics could be a better idea. 17. The birth of the Carrera GT. In the early 2000s, Porsche designed a 5.7 LV10 engine for their LMP race cars. But new regulations meant they couldn't use it, so they decided to build a car around it instead, and that's how we got the Carrera GT. 18. Porsche's tractor legacy. Porsche made over 120,000 tractors between 1956 and 1963. Who knew farming could be so stylish? 19. A heartbreaking Le Mans return. After a 17-year absence, Porsche returned to the 24 Hours of Le Mans in 2014. Audi welcomed back with open arms, but 3 years later, Audi pulled out, leaving Porsche heartbroken. They left the race a year later too. 20. Shared key fobs. The Porsche 918 shares its crucial fob with the base model Cayenne. No, really. 21. Porsche's first sedan. The Panamera was Porsche's first sedan to make it into production. They had a prototype in 1988, the 989, but it was odd looking. Thankfully, they refined the design over the years. 22. Award-winning forklifts. Porsche doesn't just make cars, they also design award-winning forklifts. fancy one for your warehouse. 23. The 911's almost demise. In 1978, Porsche tried to replace the 911 with the 928. They thought a front-engine sports car had more potential. They were wrong. Minus 46 years later, the 911 is still strong. 24. Porsche's profits. Porsche makes an average profit of $177,000 on each car they sell. Toyota only makes $2,700 per car, a good business model. 25. Leather air vents. Porsche offers optional leather air vents that cost around $1,700. Why not? 26. Ferdinand Porsche's dark history. In 1945, Ferdinand Porsche was arrested for war crimes due to his ties with the Nazi regime and his involvement in building weapons and tanks for the German military. He was released 2 years later and deemed not guilty. 27. Doors that stay put. Porsche doors don't have fixed positions. You can leave them at any angle and they'll stay there. It's the little things that make a big difference. 28. The Targa's origin. Porsche introduced the 911 Targa in 1965 because they heard rumors that the US might ban convertibles. They wanted to get ahead of the game by making a semi-convertible. 29. Left-hand ignition. Most Porsches have the ignition key on the left side of the steering wheel. It's a quirk that dates back to Le Mans, where drivers could start the car and shift into gear simultaneously, saving precious time. 30. Nürburgring record holder. The 919 Hybrid Evo holds the all-time Nürburgring lap record of 5 minutes and 19 seconds. Speed demons, take note. 31. The Beatles-Porsche connection. In the late 1930s, Ferdinand Porsche designed the VW Beetle for the German government. The first one was even built in his private villa. 32. The Taycan's record-breaking journey. The Porsche Taycan Cross Turismo set an altitude world record, traveling 1,600 miles with an altitude change of 4,800 meters, about 3 miles. It also holds the EV drift record for drifting 26 miles without stopping. 33. The mysterious G gear. The Porsche 959 has a mysterious gallon gear. Porsche says the G stands for off-road, but some believe it was to help pass noise regulations by starting in second gear, reducing revs, and making it quieter. 34. The worst Porsche ever. The 914 has been deemed the worst Porsche ever made by fans. One look at it, and you might agree. 35. The Club Sport Package. The Club Sport Package is a free add-on with a bolt-on rear roll cage, a 6-point driver's seatbelt, a battery kill switch, and a portable fire extinguisher. The catch? You need to pay for bucket seats first. 36. The Cayenne's role in saving Porsche. Without the Cayenne, Porsche would have gone bankrupt. It's the SUV that saved the brand. 37. Toyota to the rescue. When Porsche nearly went bankrupt in the 90s, they hired former Toyota engineers to reorganize their production line and supply chain. The result? A more efficient Porsche. 38. Color-coded wheel lugs. On the Carrera GT, the center wheel lugs on the driver's side are painted red, while the passenger side is blue. This color coding helps with the different thread directions. 39. The origin of yeet. Jeremy Clarkson claims to have invented the word yet in 1998 while pouring acid on a 911. Take that with a grain of salt. 40. Porsche's biofuel. Porsche is developing a biofuel called e-fuel made from water and air with no CO2 emissions. It's expected to be available by 2030 and could save the internal combustion engine from extinction. 41. The Cayman's reptilian namesake. Some might think the Porsche Cayman is named after the Cayman Islands, but it's named after the cayman, a reptile just as fierce. 42. 6 cars, 95 models. Porsche only sells 6 cars, but they have 95 different models between them. Talk about variety. 43. The legendary 917. The Porsche 917 is one of the most iconic cars ever made, giving Porsche their first Le Mans victory. Its most potent version made over 1,600 horsepower from a twin-turbo V12 in 1973. 44. The Secretary cars. The first 25 Porsche 917s are called Secretary cars because when Porsche almost fell behind schedule, they brought in office workers, including secretaries, to help build the race cars on time. 45. Porsche paper clips. Porsche makes paper clips shaped like the 911, and you can buy 100 of them for just $20 because even your desk should reflect your love for Porsche. 46. A wing above the roof. The wing on the GT3 RS is the first production wing on a Porsche to be higher than the car's roof. Now that's making a statement. 47. Recaro's Porsche connection. Recaro, known for its car seats, originally made Porsche bodies in the 1950s. They later rebranded and focused solely on interiors, but their connection to Porsche runs deep. 48. Drifting in a Porsche. Tyler McQuarrie competed in Formula Drift with a Porsche 993 GT2 RS in 2008, making 750 horsepower from a twin-turbo flat-6 engine. Who knew Porsches could drift so well? 49. The Taycan's original name. The Porsche Taycan was initially called the Mission E and featured suicide doors. It's come a long way since then. 50. The Cayenne Cabriolet that never was. Remember when I said the Cayenne saved Porsche from bankruptcy? That might not have been the case if they had made the Cayenne Cabriolet concept a reality. Thankfully, they didn't. 51. Porsche's ownership web. Porsche and 7 other brands are all owned by the Volkswagen Audi Group. But Porsche AG owns a majority share of VAG, meaning they technically own themselves. It's confusing, but it makes sense if you think about it sparingly. 52. The Bugatti Rimac Group. Porsche and Rimac entered a joint venture combining Bugatti with Rimac to form the Bugatti Rimac Group. Porsche owns 45%, Rimac owns 55%, but Bugatti gets top billing. 53. The Porsche B32. This isn't your typical VW bus. The Porsche B32 was made to transport spare parts for the 959 rally car. They swapped out the old engine for one from a 911 turbo and modified the suspension to fit. They're now worth around $400,000. 54. Custom paint jobs. Porsche offers a paint to sample program where you can paint your car in any color. So if you want people to hate you even more for cutting them off in traffic, at least they'll admire your paint job. 55. Boxster's cost-saving design. The Porsche Boxster was designed to use parts from the 911 to save on inventory and development costs. Porsche was in a financial crisis and needed a more affordable option, so they made a cheaper version of the 911. 56. Brake caliper colors. Porsches with carbon ceramic brakes have yellow calipers, while those with steel brakes have red calipers, a little splash of color for your ride. 57. Butsy Porsche's redemption. Butsy Porsche, Ferdinand Porsche's grandson, was kicked out of industrial design school for lack of talent. He went to work for his father, Ferry Porsche, and designed the 911. It was met with criticism, but he didn't give up. He built a prototype to show his dad. The rest is history. 58. Slalom world record. Porsche broke the slalom world record in 2020 when 16-year-old Chloe Chambers weaved through 51 cones in 47 seconds. 59. Bill Gates' legal battle. Bill Gates loved Porsches so much that he fought a long legal battle when the US wouldn't let him import his 959. His determination led to the show and display amendment, allowing limited production cars to bypass the 25-year import rule. 60. The first 918. This is the first 918 ever made, known as the 918 prototype rolling chassis. It was built to showcase and test the technology before production began. 61. The first Porsche. The Egger Lohner C2 Phaeton, built in 1898, is arguably the first Porsche ever made. It was also the world's first hybrid electric car, using a combustion engine to drive 2 electric motors mounted on the front wheels. 62. Popular colors. Black and red are the most popular colors among Porsche buyers, classic and bold. 63. Porsche's embarrassing Econobox. In 1994, Porsche made an Econobox for the Chinese market called the C88. They were so ashamed that they didn't even put a Porsche logo on it. Thankfully, it never made it to production. 64. The entry-level 911. Porsche made an entry-level 911 called the 912 with a smaller 1.6L engine. It was lighter and in production from 1965 to 1969 and again in 1976, but was discontinued to avoid competing with the 911. 65. The Porsche Type 64. The first car to bear the Porsche name was the 1939 Porsche Type 64. It was built for a race from Berlin to Rome, but the competition was canceled due to World War II. 66. The first airbag-equipped car. The 1987 Porsche 944 was the first car in America to come standard with driver and passenger airbags back when airbags weren't mandatory. 67. The VW Porsche connection. The Porsche 924 was initially developed by Volkswagen but ended up with Porsche rights, even though they were built in an Audi factory. 68. The 2018 SCR. This car may look like an old 911, but it's a 2018 SCR made by Roof. Founded in 1939, Roof started by servicing and repairing Porsches but evolved into making their cars. Their CTR3 is a beast with 800 horsepower and a top speed of 236 mph. 69. The over-rev counter. Porsches have an over-rev counter that tracks how many times you've revved the engine past its limit. So next time you're driving like a maniac, remember that your car is snitching on you. 70. Gas cap reminders. The Porsche 928's gas cap has a little flap that says Oil Oklahoma to remind owners to check their oil every time they fill up. Very German, indeed. 71. Dual-speed Taycan. Unlike other electric cars, the Porsche Taycan has a dual-speed transmission. More gears, more fun. 72. EA Games exclusive Porsche deal. From 2000 to 2016, EA Games had an exclusive deal to use Porsches in their games, meaning other game developers had to use Roof cars instead. 73. Porsche-built icons. The Mercedes 500e and Audi RS2 were developed and built by Porsche on the same assembly line. Now that's cross-brand collaboration. 74. The sawmill origins. The first 2 years of Porsche 356 production occurred in a sawmill in Gießen, Austria. These early models are highly sought after since they were built from aluminum instead of steel. 75. Macan's 918 influence. The Porsche Macan's clamshell hood, side blades, and three-spoke steering wheel were designed to resemble the 918. Porsche loves those subtle design nods. 76. Sally from Cars. Porsche has Sally from the movie Cars in their museum. They even made a one-off 911 Sally special that sold for $3.6 million at a charity auction. 77. The window rattle solution. When you open the doors on newer Porsches, the windows go up slightly to prevent rattling when you close the door. It's the little things. 78. The family business shift. 1972 Ferry Porsche reorganized the company, kicking his family out of leadership roles. Upset by this, Butzi Porsche created Porsche Design, known for its high-quality watches and sunglasses. 79. The 917's bug problem. In its first year, the Porsche 917 had trouble gripping the road. An engineer noticed the front was covered in dead bugs while the rear was clean, indicating a lack of airflow. They fixed it with a longer tail. 80. Mission X's luxury look. Porsche painted the Mission X in metallic brown to give it a luxury car, the vibe, even though it looks like a street-legal LMP car. 81. The 918's recalls. Porsche has recalled the 918 6 times. Even the best have their issues. 82. The shooting brake dream. Dutch engineering students turned a 986 Boxster into a shooting brake. It looks so good, it could make you rethink the traditional sports car. 83. The jet-powered 928. This 928 is no ordinary car, it's jet-powered. With 350 horsepower, 700 ft-lb of torque, and a top speed of 160 mph. It even gets 17 mpg. 84. The 901 name change. Before changing the 901 name, Porsche made 82 units with the original nameplate. Some of these made it to the public, including one found in a barn after 40 years. 85. The mid-engine 911. Porsche made one mid-engine 911, the 911 GT1. Only 21 road legal versions were ever sold, and just one was a GT1 Evo with a top speed of 202 mph. 86. The Giant Slayer. The Porsche 550 Spyder, known as the Giant Slayer, had a tiny 1.5L flat-4 engine but could take down more significant, powerful cars on the track. Size only sometimes matters. 87. The Bertone 911. A Southern California Porsche dealer, Johnny von Neumann, didn't like the Targa Top 911, so he commissioned a one-off convertible designed by Nuccio Bertone. It's a unique piece of Porsche history. 88. The Mercedes-Benz Type 80. Ferdinand Porsche designed the Mercedes-Benz Type 80 to be the fastest car in the world, with a top speed of 370 mph. However, it was never tested due to the outbreak of World War II. 89. Stuttgart's exclusive 911 production. Since its creation in 1963, the 911 has been produced only in Stuttgart, Germany. 90. LS swap kits for 911s. Yes, you can buy an LS swap kit for your 911. And yes, it fits. 91. Porsche's NFTs. Porsche has released 23,363 official NFTs of the 911, now worth around $1,200 each. A digital investment? 92. Porsche's memory option. Newer Porsches remember your seat position and AC gauge cluster settings. It's like your car knows you better than you know yourself. 93. Harley-Davidson V-Rod engine. Porsche designed the engine for the Harley-Davidson V-Rod. Now that's a collaboration we didn't see coming. 94. First forged wheels. The 1967 Porsche 911 was the first production car to receive forged aluminum wheels. Strong and light, what's not to love. 95. RWB wide-body 911s. Those sick-looking wide-body 911s you see online? They're made by Akira Nakai, who founded RWB in 1997. He still owns the first one he made. 96. The 911 Dakar. The 911 Dakar is a 4x4 470 horsepower factory spec rally car. It's got 161 millimeters of ground clearance and can reach 105 mph off-road. It'll cost you $223,000. 97. Clarkson's last goodbye. Jeremy Clarkson's father was in the hospital in 1994, and Clarkson was test driving a 928. He said if he hadn't been in that car, which could happily cruise at 170 mph, he wouldn't have made it in time to say goodbye. 98. Vintage emblems by hand. In 2012, Porsche started a program to remake vintage emblems by hand for those restoring classic Porsches. It's all about authenticity. 99. Porsche's F1 hiatus. Porsche hasn't competed in Formula One since 1964. One day they'll make a comeback. 100. The 992 GT3 RS's lack of frunk. You can't access the engine bay on the 992 GT3 RS, and there's no frunk space. Sometimes sacrifices must be made for performance. 101. The last air-cooled engine. Porsche made their last air-cooled engine in 1998, marking the end of an era. And with that, we're done. Thanks for sticking around. If you enjoyed this deep video into Porsche, subscribe and let us know which brand you'd like to see covered next.